We're standing here on this almost 40 acres of ground that will serve as a place where students can do research projects, where classes can have labs. This is the kind of place that we see as being multi-use.
Knowing that there's already research projects in the works makes me excited to know that it's really going to be used for the students.
There'll be multiple places, large separate research plots that will run research projects for years. We want our students not just to hear about things like management techniques, but to actually do them and actually participate in them. We don't want them just to read about somebody's research. We want them to do the research.
The students are definitely getting on board, and that's one thing Jeff Powelson and Missouri Department of Conservation are emphasizing, is that this is the students' project, and same with the professors. The students are kind of the lead on this, and we kind of get to decide where we take this project and what we're going to do with it.
Connor's my contact, with him being a student athlete.
I didn't even know this about this Prairie project at first, my first year of college, and they started talking about it, and I was like, that's the cross-country course.
Having a trail that goes through the Prairie will get more people out here. Yeah. I won't say that campuses don't have little tiny prairie plots or prairie gardens, but to have basically 35 acres that's designated as a campus prairie, I can't say, because I haven't looked, that we may be the only campus to have a campus prairie of this size.
MDC's role, majority of the time, is more technical, and with the university it's been a teamwork effort.
Around 2014 or so, and at that time, Missouri Western was developing the master plan, the campus master plan. And as part of that, a group of students, led by a student by the name of Brock Couch, decided that as part of the master plan, wouldn't it be great to have a prairie incorporated into that master plan, a campus prairie? Last January, we planted it. And last year, we prepared to plant that. So it's a process.
We have over 100 species, known species. Nature Conservancy donated over 80, and the Department of Conservation, we had some funding to help purchase an additional 30 species mix. So we're really looking forward to seeing what species start to become established this next year.
Barely got a flower out. He didn't even shoot up in the air. Yep. We planted things like coneflower and compass plant and little blue stem. And as we walked out there earlier, you saw some black-eyed Susan.
We planted about 160 trees, I think, out here on the prairie. And we're kind of developing a natural savanna habitat in certain areas. And we had a work day, and lots of students came out, and we got bunch of trees planted where we needed them planted, and then we also GPS the coordinates of each tree so that we can use it for future research projects and just get an understanding of how these trees are going to develop over time. In the middle of a run, and saw a tree over, so while they're dormant, try and get them back in the ground.
We wrote a grant and got the trees through Forest Relief out of St. Louis. They actually are provided seedlings from our department nursery. Those trees were at no cost to the university.
When you tell people, well, we're going to go out and plant trees on the prairie today, because it's like, wait a minute, I thought prairies had no trees. And that's true, or they had few trees, but we decided, because we already have very large, well-established trees on the northern side of this property, we thought, why don't we create a savanna?
They were white oaks, they were black oak, we had northern red oaks, we had some persimmons, we had black walnuts, we had some Kentucky coffee tree.
Well, right now they're super tiny and you don't really notice them. Like 30 years from now, they're going to be big trees, and you can kind of see that you actually had an impact on this area and starting this project.
Right here, in the middle of this prairie, planted this tree. So it's pretty cool.
It's one of these things that's been a long time coming. This is not something that happened overnight. We've been working on this for years, and in fact, Dr. John Rushin, who's a retired professor emeritus here at Missouri Western, it was his vision years ago to have a prairie on this campus.
You're looking at a habitat that most people don't even know exist. They haven't really experienced it. And so even though this will be reestablished, it'll give people a chance to come out and see what things were like way back when, pre-settlement times.
Dr. Rushin taught at Missouri Western for I think over 30 years, somewhere around 33 years. Between him working on prairies and working on plants and teaching thousands of students and having students do research with him, collectively we began to realize we couldn't think of anybody better to name the prairie after.
And I am just overwhelmed by that. I mean, it's a great honor, way more than I would ever expect and probably more than I deserve. But what I would tell you is there have been a lot of people that have put a lot of work into projects like this.
To me, it's extremely important that humans, people, communities take care of their environment so we have a diversity.
Study after study have shown that the diversity of pollinators goes up in native prairies.
Right here in this little triangle plot, we're going to put some wildflowers and just some more plants, and it'll be a little garden that people can walk through.
Anything that's pollinated by insects could be benefited by having this prairie here.
This is important to me because, one, it's habitat restoration, so there's like 98% of Missouri's native prairies are gone now. So it's an environment that's not really around, even though that's what used to be here naturally. So getting a natural prairie is a really big deal. So it's definitely a cool project to be a part of.
Having these research projects here, having labs here, having the cross-country course here, having community groups use this, we see that those are all beneficial for lots of reasons, but one of them is that it also sort of guarantees the longevity of this site.